I inherited my aunt's mansion, but the family secret buried inside almost destroyed me. When my Aunt Lillian died, everyone in my family expected her sprawling countryside mansion to go to my cousin Claire, the golden child who had always been by her side. So when the lawyer read out my name instead, the silence in the room was almost unbearable. My mother's lips pinched into a thin line. My uncle scoffed loudly, and Claire's face turned white like someone had pulled the floor out from under her. I had never been Aunt Lillian's favorite. At least, that's what I thought. She rarely invited me over as a child, while Claire practically lived at her place. I was the forgotten niece, the one people barely remembered at gatherings, the quiet shadow sitting in the corner. Yet suddenly, I was the one handed the keys to her estate. The day I arrived at the mansion, it felt like the house itself was waiting for me. The ivy-covered walls, the long windows that seemed to watch as I walked up the gravel path, the heavy oak doors groaning open like they hadn't moved in years. It all felt too deliberate, too alive. Inside, the air smelled of lavender and dust, like the perfume my aunt always wore mixed with decay. The halls were lined with portraits of family members, some I recognized, others long dead, their painted eyes following me wherever I turned. But what unsettled me most was the sealed door at the end of the upstairs hallway. It was locked tight with 3 bolts, and on it, scrawled in my aunt's unmistakable handwriting, were the words, "Do not enter until you are ready." I didn't understand. Ready for what? I tried the bolts, but they wouldn't budge. That night, as I unpacked in the master bedroom, I kept hearing soft footsteps in the hall outside. But when I checked, no one was there. I convinced myself it was just the creaking of an old house, though deep down I knew it was more. Days passed, and strange things kept happening. Lights flickered even when the wiring had just been inspected. Doors opened on their own. I'd wake up to find my belongings moved, my journal left open on a page I hadn't written yet, my clothes folded neatly even though I'd left them in a pile. And always the feeling of being watched. I thought I was losing my mind until the night I heard humming. It was faint at first, a lullaby my mother used to sing when I was small, but it was coming from behind the locked door. Something in me snapped. I needed to know what was inside. I searched the house top to bottom until I found an old iron key hidden inside Aunt Lillian's vanity drawer. With trembling hands, I unlocked the first bolt, then the second, then the third. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a narrow staircase spiraling downward into darkness. My chest tightened. This wasn't just a sealed room, it was a passage. I lit a candle and descended. The air grew colder with each step, heavy with the smell of earth and something sweet, almost rotten. At the bottom, I found myself in a stone cellar. Rows of shelves lined the walls, filled with old journals, photographs, and boxes marked with dates that stretched back nearly a century. But in the center of the room was what made my blood run cold, a wooden crib. Inside lay a bundle of blankets, and when I pulled them back, I found not a baby but a porcelain doll with glassy blue eyes that looked horrifyingly real. Its little lips were painted in a way that almost resembled a smirk. Tucked beneath it was a letter addressed to me. My hands shook as I read, "To the one who was forgotten, the one who was meant to carry the truth. This family has survived for generations by sacrificing one child every other decade. That child becomes the vessel, the keeper of our sins, hidden away so the rest may thrive. I stopped it with you. You were chosen, but I spared you. Instead, I buried the vessel here. But the family will come for you now because they know you have the house, and they know you hold the secret. Be ready." I dropped the letter, my vision spinning. Sacrifices? A vessel? Was my aunt telling me that our family's wealth and survival had been built on burying one of us alive? The thought made me nauseous, but deep down, pieces of my childhood snapped into place. The cousin who vanished without explanation. The rumors of babies that died at birth but were never seen buried. The way my parents had looked at me like I was disposable. That night, I locked every door and window, but it didn't matter. By morning, my mother, uncle, and cousin Claire were standing on the porch, smiling too wide, their eyes cold. "We just want to talk," my mother said sweetly, but her voice trembled. They knew. Somehow they knew what I had found. I let them in. And as we sat in the parlor, they tried to convince me the letter was nothing but Aunt Lillian's madness, the ramblings of a dying woman. But Claire's eyes darted toward the sealed stairwell door, and my uncle's hand kept twitching like he was restraining himself. Finally, my mother leaned forward and whispered, "Give us the journals, darling. You don't understand what you've stumbled into." And that's when I realized it wasn't just superstition. They wanted to continue it. They wanted me to hand over the evidence so they could bury the truth, just like they'd buried every child before me. My own family, ready to destroy me to protect their legacy. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I gathered every journal, every box, every photograph from the cellar, and loaded them into my car. When dawn broke, I drove straight to the police station and handed everything over. They didn't believe me at first, but the sheer volume of documents, the dates, the details, and the bones they found buried beneath the cellar floor, small human bones, made them listen. My family was arrested within weeks. The mansion is mine now, but I don't live there. I can't. The walls whisper too much. The doll in the crib still seems to watch me when I pass. Sometimes, late at night, I hear that lullaby again, faint, like someone is still humming in the dark. But when I turn, no one is there. Maybe my aunt spared me. Maybe I escaped. But the truth is, when you grow up in a family built on blood and betrayal, you never really leave it behind.